Tariffs, a buzzword that's been going around for a while. Let me explain who's really paying for them and what is a tariff. So tariff is essentially a tax on imported goods. Like if I bought something from this neighbor to sell to that neighbor, the neighbor I'm buying it from is not paying the taxes. I'm paying the tariff or the tax, and then to make my my margins or my profit, I'm going to pass that along to the person I'm selling to, because I still got to make my money. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. And I'll just share from my what I've seen. And I work in supply chain, so I've been procuring materials for the different companies that I've kind of moved along with, or moved along from, and now work, etc. So the last company that I worked for, and if y'all been kind of following along, I recently changed jobs, so I'm not seeing some of these changes right now, but the last couple years I was working for a company, and we were sourcing materials from different vendors throughout the United States. And so, and since I'm buying them from these people, these companies, I get to talk with them, and they're telling me, what's going on in their world and how these tariffs are affecting them. And I know that the company that I worked for previously, we had to we ended up having to essentially, on our purchase orders, would have to put in a line that is basically would say like tariff or surcharge, depending on how the accounting departments would want to word that. For I'm not an accountant, so I don't know how they have to maneuver all that stuff, because whenever they get audited and through these third parties, etc., for tax purposes, I don't know how all that stuff works on that end. I just know what we were told to do to help mitigate any problems going forward. And so essentially we would put in surcharges or tariff charges, like in our POs, to accommodate those extra taxes or fees. But essentially it's again, it's all verbiage, but at the end of the day, it's an extra expense. It costs more. And so I'm kind of getting off into the weeds, so let me just kind of get back on track. We would put those lines in there because these other companies that were building stuff for us were getting charged, and they were getting charged more or paying higher cost taxes, these tariffs, and for their products to build. And then so they would pass it along to us, and then so who we, our customers, we are passing it on to them. So you can see how, like, this supply chain, like, this person gets this person gets charged more, or there's a tariff, and then they charge us a tariff, and then we pass it to their customer, which we sold direct to I'll just say corporations. I don't want to disclose like who I worked for and who our customers were, but we sold products to corporations that would basically, you would walk into their store. Everyone in America walks into their stores. Doesn't matter where you're at. We'll just say everyone has to have groceries, and everyone has to have gas, for the most part, but basically everyone eats. So I'll just leave it at that. Those were some of our customers, and we would sell to them. And guess what? Just like I said that this supply chain was passing on the tariffs, guess what they're doing? They're going to be passing on those tariffs. Now they're not going to say, oh, this is includes a X percentage tariff. They're going to work that into their cost. So you don't, obviously, how many groceries have gone up in the last 2 years, or even year. So I remember seeing like anywhere from like 2 or so, about, I think the lowest I saw was like, some of them we didn't have any, thank God. But I saw anywhere from like 2.5 to, I think, upwards of 7.2%. So say we buy $1,000 worth, which that was like that wouldn't even, some of our orders would be upwards of $100,000 or almost $200,000 for like one store, and we're making money on that. But the point is you could do the math. $1,000 just for quick math, it would be anywhere from like $20 something to $70 something. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, but now do that with 100,000. Now you're talking 200 to 700 and so forth. And this would be like, and again, it's kind of minuscule in the grand scheme of things, but now amplify that to almost every product that's being imported. These companies are passing along that to their customers to eventually go to you. And so that's who's really paying the tariffs, is the consumer, the average Joe and Jane, the average person. Because I can guarantee you, there's some companies that probably would kind of eat that extra cost for a little bit, but eventually, and in most cases, they're just going to go ahead and pass that along from the get-go, because they have shareholders and board members to report to and to take in consideration. So they're going to look out for their bottom dollar. There's a Rogue, my little puppy. Actually, she's like 6, but anyways, so I just wanted to explain kind of what a tariff was and how that really affects us. And I guess I'll kind of expand on this a little bit, that what we're told, it can be very misleading. I thought about this actually, that there's some things that we, a tariff is a tax, and when we, it's income for it's a tax that goes to the government. Now, it could incentivize to buy local or in the country, the importing country, which in my case is United States. Now, what if we can't make a certain product, or what if there's certain regulations that prohibit us from making a certain product, or that we just don't have the infrastructure, or there's so much red tape that we can't get the infrastructure? I mean, basically what I'm getting at is, if I said, hey, you're gonna pay a tax to import this, but also, and so now they're like, hey, we need to make a building, a manufacturing plant or whatever. We need to make this here. Well, but then I'm on the other hand, I'm like, oh, y'all can't make that because X, Y, Z. Oh, they're, I don't want to get into like all the regulations, but let's just say, oh, the EPA or OSHA or any agency or laws that say, oh, this and it basically, it makes it so hard for us to manufacture here, that basically you have to import the product, which basically guarantees the income from those taxes, to the government. So essentially, it's almost like job security or income security for the government. Imagine that. And we, the people, are still paying for it. So anyways, it's just something I thought about. So does it matter, like, the powers that be, what they're saying, or anyways, I'll just leave that there. I think that's good enough, and it'll get the wheels turning, and it's good enough explanation to kind of really see what's going on here. Anyways, I hope that helps explain like what a tariff is, and from my examples, from my personal experience, what I've seen with my own two eyes, and how it's affected us. I hope that helps explain what a tariff is, and how it's actually impacting us on a daily basis. Anyways, I hope y'all have a good day. It's Saturday morning here. I got a good little day planned. I'm gonna go kayaking later. There's like a full moon kayaking, like a kind of a group that's gonna go out, and I got some other little things planned today. But anyways, I just wanted to, from my experience, share with all y'all what a tariff is and how it's affecting us, even down to the simplest of grocery stores. Anyways, I hope y'all have a good day. Take care.